Adventure Time. Probably my favorite show growing up. As a kid, I loved the humor and the wacky yet relatable characters. Jake was definitely the most relatable. But we have to ask ourselves, is this show really as good as we remember? Or are we just blinded by nostalgia? Well, I'll be answering that right now. Like the title says, Adventure Time is a masterpiece. Adventure Time was created by the mastermind himself, Pendleton Ward. He first pitched Adventure Time to Nickelodeon, where they dropped it because they said it was too random and weird. But they picked up Fanboy and Chum Chum, which is a more weirder and wackier show. I don't fucking know. So the absolute Chad called Cartoon Network decided to pick up this masterpiece of a show, and the rest was history. Season 1 isn't really plot-based. It's mostly used to introduce the world and the characters that inhabit this world. We get introduced to a bunch of iconic characters in the show, like Marceline, Princess Bubblegum, Ice King, Beer Guy. Also, Season 1 introduces one of the most important items in Adventure Time, the Enchiridion. We also get introduced to near the end of Season 1, and he would also be a very important character going on. Also in this episode, they show the Lich for the first time, even if he does get, bodied by Borderly. It doesn't matter. Sure, Season 1 was a very plot-based, but it was fucking funny. Not one joke this season did not make me laugh. Honestly, the most funny episodes was definitely Donnie, My Rainy Daydream, and Ocean of Fear. Adventure Time is really funny, but it's definitely the first 5 seasons that are the funniest. Anyways, that's Season 1. Now let's move on to Season 2. Again, Season 2 isn't really plot-based, but they do hint that there is some plot in Adventure Time. Honestly, in my opinion, Season 2 was definitely funnier than Season 1. It had much funnier episodes. My favorite episode was definitely Death and Bloom. The episode is basically about Finn and Jake taking care of Princess Bubblegum's plant, but they end up killing it, so they go to the underworld so they can try saving it. Season 2 has the most iconic jokes from Adventure Time, like the dance bug, the ongoing Jake always wanting to wish for a sandwich joke, and many other jokes. This season is just iconic. But I think the best part about this season is definitely the introduction of the Lich. The Lich is just such a good villain. I'll do a separate video on why the Lich is my favorite villain of all time. But the Lich really showed that the show is just not some dumb kid show, but in fact should be taken more seriously than that. I think Season 1 and Season 2 do a good job at setting your expectations as this fun comedy adventure show, where in fact this show was about war, death, and a bunch of other things that is actually very serious for a kids show. I think Adventure Time did a good job at showing that a kids show just doesn't have to be some mindless comedy. It can actually have stakes, a story, characters you can actually relate to. And if it wasn't for Adventure Time and regular show, I don't think shows like Amazing World of Gumball and Steven Universe would have been made. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go on to Season 3. Season 3 is my second favorite Adventure Time season, and I'll tell you why. We get plot. Yep, as early as episode 20 of Season 3, we get this bombshell of a backstory dropped right on top of us. Yep, in episode 20, we get Ice King's backstory. And holy shit, is it dark. Here's his backstory. Basically, in Scandinavia, he finds this really cool jeweled crown that he buys from somebody. He then puts it on his head as a joke for his fiancée to laugh at, but ends up going crazy and scaring her away. Then spending hundreds of years in solitude going crazy because of this crown. Yeah, by the way, this is a kid's show. Also, Season 3 is just really funny. It has 2 of my favorite episodes, and I think they're the funniest episodes. Marceline's Closet and Still. I could watch those 2 episodes on repeat for 24 hours, and I would never stop laughing. They are just so funny. Also, I really like What Was Missing, because it improves Marceline's and PB's relationship, and the songs are on point. I love the songs. Also, the last 2 episodes are really good too. Honestly, Season 3 has some of the best batch episodes in the whole series. Anyways, let's move on to my favorite season, which is... right now I'm about to tell you why Season 4 was my favorite season. Not only did it have some of the funniest episodes, but some of the most heartbreaking episodes I've ever seen in a kid's TV show. Season 4 had such a good mix of really heartbreaking episodes and extremely funny episodes. In this season, we have episodes like BMO looking for a sock, and at the same time, we have episodes like Remember You, which absolutely broke me. This season also has Son of Mars and Princess Cookie, which are just as equally sad as Remember You. This season is also really dark. The final episode is definitely the darkest, which is called The Lich. It's basically about the Lich using the dead body of Billy, aka Finn's hero, to trick him to collecting the gems so they can open a portal to Prismo's room. And Prismo's room, which is actually the Time Room, is where one of your wishes can be granted. So the Lich wishes that humanity was wiped out, and then Finn jumps in and wishes the Lich never ever existed, which causes a new timeline to be created. Besides the season being extremely dark and having a lot of plot, it's also extremely funny, by far the funniest season. We have episodes like Return to the Nightosphere, which in my opinion, is the best episode in the whole series. We have 5 Short Graybles, we have Web to Weirdos, so many fucking funny episodes. And in this season, we have the most iconic moment in Adventure Time. Bacon pancakes. How could you not give this season a 10 out of 10? Anyways, moving on. Season 5 is as bland as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Season 5 was the only season at Adventure Time that made me wonder when it was going to end. There are a couple good episodes which I am going to talk about, but most of them are just boring and not that funny. The first 2 episodes are really good. The Simon and Marcy episode is really sad and I love it. I think it's the best episode in the whole season. Buhoy is actually pretty important because it actually introduces gold for the first time. Jake's suit is also pretty funny. So is Time Sandwich and Dungeon Train. We get introduced to Finn's past lives, which is pretty cool. And the last 8 episodes are pretty good too. But goddamn, this season is 52 episodes and half the episodes are really boring. I'm sorry. Anyways, moving on to Season 6. Season 6 is a huge step up from Season 5. In Season 6, it really revolves around Finn's father, who we get to see in a couple of episodes. I'm a really huge fan of this relationship. One second, Finn goes from loving his father into hating his father, then being disappointed in his father. Honestly, the relationship is really good, and it actually is sadder after you watch Season 8. Finn also loses his arm in this season, but then it grows back a couple episodes later, which kind of ruins a lot of things, but we're just going to ignore that. I actually forgot that Jake had puppies. Well, they're grown up now. We also get Jake's parents' backstory and how Jake was born, which is pretty cool, but also extremely weird. Also, Prismo fucking dies at the beginning of the season, but in episode 19, it's really weird, I have to explain. So basically, using Prismo's pickles, they go to like another dimension to find Prismo, and Finn kills like himself, but it's not really himself, it's its consciousness, and like puts it inside of a sword, which he calls the Finn sword. It's very confusing. You'll have to watch the episode. We also get the backstory to the crown, more from the Cosmic Owl. This season we find out that Gunter is actually a space god named Orgalord, who wants to devour the purple comet so he can regain his strength. Very confusing season. Let's just move on to the next one. Yes, we're finally here. I get to talk about fucking steaks. I'm a huge fan of steaks, if you couldn't already tell. I really like Marceline as a character, so seeing a whole plot revolve around her is really nice to see. I do agree that the side characters should have helped out a little bit more, but at the same time, it is Marceline's plot, so I can't really say anything. Besides steaks, this season is kind of bland. We have one other good episode that isn't steaks, which I will talk about. Basically, in the beginning of Season 5, the other Finn accidentally sets off the mushroom bomb, which creates the Lich in that universe. Now the Lich is manipulating Finn to use the Enchiridion so they can go into every single dimension. So Finn and Jake have to stop them, which they do. But the Lich hand falls into every other dimension, so yeah, now we have the Lich in every dimension. We also have Hall of Egress, and we have Flute Spell, but besides that, that's basically the only good episodes of the season. Anyways, let's talk about Season 8. Yes! I finally get to talk about one of my favorite seasons, Season 8. There is not a single bad episode in Season 8. They all hit. My favorite episodes are definitely the last 8 episodes, which in my opinion comes from the best mini plot in the whole series, Islands. Okay, I'm not even gonna lie, the first like 4 episodes of Islands is pretty boring, but the rest of them makes up for that because they are amazing. And the best thing is fucking Fern. We get to see fucking Fern. Fern, I just love fucking Fern! We also get to learn more about the human world in Adventure Time, which is really cool. The musical episode has some of the best songs in the whole series, and honestly, every episode, like I said, slaps so hard. I think this season has one of the best batch of episodes behind season 3 and season 4. Anyways, this season is a tearjerker, made me laugh, and is just overall an amazing season. Moving on. This season's fucking boring. The first 13 episodes are so fucking boring. And this season's only 14 episodes. I know I'm overreacting, but this is one of my favorite shows, and this is one of the worst seasons I've ever seen in a show. How the fuck do you go from absolute perfection to this slog? The only actual interesting episode is the last episode, but they kill fucking Fern! All you really need to know is that Betty is crazy and evil, and the Gombodians are bad. Anyways, moving on. I swear, if the next season is as fucking boring as this season, I am going to Yes, we are finally here. Season 10, basically Adventure Time Endgame. We find out in Season 10 that the Gombodians were actually made by Princess Bubblegum, but they turned against her, so she turned them into candy people. But it's time to talk about the series finale. Come along with me. What a great series finale. It starts off with the war between Princess Bubblegum and Uncle Gumball, but when Betty interferes, she ends up summoning Golb. Oh, and Normal Man helped too. Anyways, Ice King, Finn, and Betty ended up getting knocked into Golb's stomach, where they could get turned into nothing. So they start breaking down into their original forms, and Ice King becomes Simon again. And one of the saddest Adventure Time moments happens. Finn finally feels defeated. Same with Jake after the treehouse gets destroyed. But BMO ends up singing a song, and we find out that Golb and the monsters that he created's weakness is harmony. And one of the most heartwarming Adventure Time moments ensues. Everybody comes together and sings. Betty uses the crown, which resetted, which means she can wish for whatever she wants, and wishes that she could become Golb. This is after Simon and Finn escapes. So, she becomes Golb and enters a new dimension. And Fern dies. Again, he comes back in Season 10 as the Green Knight, but he dies. It is just so sad. He ends up leaving a seed, where Finn and Jake planted at the treehouse to make a new treehouse. And that is the end of Adventure Time. I'm taking my exam soon, so I won't be posting for a while, but I promise during the summer I will be posting more.